Are we getting richer? Do we even care anymore? Because, that whole American dream thing, we're supposed to be chasing it. Seems like it's getting harder and harder to have those dreams anymore for a lot of us. I mean, we're working more hours than ever before, but it kind of seems like for many of us, we're treading in place. It's hard to get wealthy in the United States these days with increased taxes, a rise of cost of living, and big corporations taking the juice out of the fruit. Seems that today, for a lot of us now, a good goal is just to work hard and save and bank on that retirement one day. One day. One day. And the answer to that first question is yes, we're getting richer. Sorta. The rich are getting richer. Since 1970, the percentage of wealth from the upper class has gone up from 29% to nearly half. That means the upper class now has half the wealth, and the middle class share of the economy has gone down from 2/3 to 43%. The lower class is even poorer than it was 50 years ago. Now, the places we're going to talk about certainly aren't lacking in the bank department. They're rich, pal. The places we're going to talk about have the wealthiest, most successful, and powerful people in the whole country. How did they get so rich, and what do they do with all their money? We'll talk about that too. Of course, we always do. Now let's look behind the gate at who all the big shot money bags are in the United States today. The richest people. Do we really care? I guess so, because we're talking about it right now. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, we're in New Mexico. You might be thinking, isn't New Mexico like mostly poor people and criminals? Yes, there's a lot of that here for sure, but not here in Los Alamos County. No way, boy. It's true. Look at this. While the top 3 richest counties in the country are all basically Washington, D.C. suburbs, Los Alamos County in New Mexico is home to the 4th highest median incomes of all, where on average, the typical person earns more than $100K a year annually. That's everyone. It's the large number of really important high-paying jobs that make this place home to the biggest concentration of millionaires in the whole region, where 1 in 5 residents is already a millionaire. 1 in 5 people in this town. Can you imagine? The reason for this pile of money is the Los Alamos National Labs is here, and it employs 10,000 of this county's 18,000 residents. The average pay here is $135K a year. It's a bunch of scientists and PhDs and military people who have important jobs that nobody else knows how to do. The average home price here is $600,000 and going up all the time too. Now earlier, I talked about how tough it is to get wealthy in America these days. This Bloomberg article points out many reasons why, and talks about the 3 main ways people get rich in the United States: on the stock market, through real estate, and by starting up a new business. Starting up a new business is harder these days, Bloomberg says, because big corporations make it harder for smaller folks to stake a claim. Stock market wealth is something very few are able to accomplish, and many fail trying. And the housing market isn't as easy to break into anymore either. High housing costs and a shortage of available homes means building a real estate empire is tougher now than ever. So we just try to rise up the corporate ladder and hope for the best, if you can afford the college education needed to take that first step on the ladder. But it's America, and with hard work and determination, we can do anything. Just ask the people down in our next wealthiest region, the Dallas suburbs. There's many wealthy communities in the Dallas area. Going back to the 70s and 80s, we had hit TV shows which reminded us how wealthy Dallas families were then, too. But today, oil isn't the main source of wealth here. Now, they're all bankers and insurance brokers and real estate legends, doctors and lawyers who all work in downtown Dallas. The people in places like Highland Park, University Park, Melissa, Trophy Club, South Lake, and Coppell are rich. These are all the very exclusive Dallas suburbs with communities that range from 6,000 people to 30,000 people. The average household income for these communities varies, but on average, they hover near the $250,000 mark annually. Let's use Highland Park as an example of this exuberant exurb. If you look at the wealthiest communities in the nation, Highland Park ranks 7th in the country, where households bring in a not-so-stingy $365,025 a year. And don't forget about that last $25. I'm sure it's important to them. It's the smallest place of 8,500 people where everything looks like a $1 million mansion. That's because they are $1 million mansions. They sell Ferraris in strip malls here, and gun stores sell weapons that cost more than a lot of people's homes. This is where the former governor of Texas lives, and where professional athletes have homes. It's very Republican and very elite. The North Dallas suburbs are the kind of place that you might get profiled if you're driving through in a Toyota Corolla. Okay, you will get profiled here if you're in a Corolla. You certainly will not find any used car dealerships like this in these posh burbs.
Free rosebush, but hurry, quantity's limited.
9.9% APR on a car? 10% interest for that? By the way, look at the difference in loan rates from the 80s versus now. It's crazy. Coming up next are Chicago suburbs. There's a lot of money in Chicago, no surprises there. I mean, it is the third most populated city in the country after all. One particular part of Chicago is the richest of the rich. The communities of Glencoe and Winnetka are the 8th and 9th wealthiest cities in the country, respectively. Households in Glencoe make $358,000 annually, and those in Winnetka make $353,000 a year. That's mommy and daddy combined. Both are on the banks of Lake Michigan, and both are villages. Glencoe has 8,700 people. There's private golf courses all over. This is where many Chicago Bears players live, and many notable celebrities have homes here too. Some homes here aren't overly impressive, but very fancy. But then there's these monsters. Something like this would set you back 6 million smackers. You can't afford it. Just south of Glencoe's Winnetka, which is equally great wealth-wise. This is where Ferris Bueller's family lived. Remember that? Great movie. There's 12,000 people here. Homes like this, on average, sell for $1.2 million. This is what the high school looks like in Winnetka. A lot of famous people and dignitaries attended this fine institution. You can bet there aren't many fistfights here. It's a lot of lawyers and hedge fund managers up here in these North Chicago burbs.
This is the kind of place I could make some real money in.
Karen Mappy, you get down off of there. This is a family show.
I'm just trying to make some extra money. The men here are really friendly.
Okay, that was weird. Sorry, everyone. But it does bring up a good point, though. There are 11 million millionaire households in America. And surprisingly, to me, it's just about split between men and women. About half of our nation's millionaires are women and half are men. And it used to be that women got their millions from an inheritance or in divorce settlements. But that's changing too. Women millionaires are becoming more self-made these days. Good for you ladies. But not like this. Or maybe? There's a region in southeast-ish Denver that's superloaded, making it the 7th most wealthy area in the country. That would include Douglas and Arapahoe counties here. Let's use Cherry Hills Village as an example of this region. Households here in Cherry Hills Village earn about $406,000 a year, which is just crazy. Is everybody in Cherry Hills Village a damn dentist or something? There's 6,000 people here. It's the kind of place where there's golf courses that host PGA events, and it's filled with people who likely have second homes in Aspen. John Elway and Peyton Manning have homes here, in case you care. Homes here average about $2.5 million each, but this one is nearly $20 million. Fancy, super nice, wow, outrageous, can't believe it. Who needs that? Who cleans this? Why is this necessary? Now, the rest of the people in these Denver burbs aren't as rich as the people in Cherry Hills Village are, but just about everybody here makes more than $100K. That's mom and dad both making that kind of dough. That's every home in both counties, people.
Lee press-on nails in fashion colors. Press-on color, no messy polish. Press-on color, no drying time. Press-on color, no chipping ever.
Now, I'd be willing to bet that most women in this part of the Denver metro area don't have Lee press-on nails. They probably have a damn nail lady that comes to the house. But as we'll see, these two regions we talked about are still nothing compared to what we're going to see in a little bit. There's a big region in central Maryland where people are loaded way more than you will ever be. Howard County, Montgomery County, and Calvert County here, all kind of in the middle of the state, all have household incomes well above $100,000 annually. But there's some super rich people that make way more than that. There's a community here called Travela where households bring in $300,000 each. There's about 12,000 people here. This is what it looks like there. The average home is $1.3 million, which at this point isn't really sticker shock anymore, is it? Chevy Chase, Potomac, and Bethesda are all in nearby Montgomery County. In all of them, the average households bring in $250,000 each annually, but many make much, much more than that. A lot of the people who live in these communities are high-paid government workers and consultants and contractors. Most of them are involved in Washington, D.C. in some way or another. Working for the government pays people, apparently. Now let's put this into perspective. So if you make 250 grand a year, which everybody here in Central Maryland pretty much does, and you work a standard 40-hour week, which people here probably don't, that means you make $120 an hour. Now the average minimum wage in Maryland is $10.10 an hour. So somebody working at McDonald's would have to work 100 hours a day to make what somebody in places like Chevy Chase does. And of course, you can't work 100 hours a day because there's only 24. Even if somebody at McDonald's worked every hour of their lives, they would only earn about $80,640 a year. That's probably what a Central Maryland family pays for their mortgage. But don't be jealous of how much money they're making up there. Comparison is the thief of joy. Of course, everybody knows Southern Connecticut's loaded. This is home to Fairfield County, home to old money and rich New York City banker types. In Darien, Connecticut, households bring in $341,090 a year. Don't forget that $90. They don't. In Old Greenwich, they make $336,000 a year. In Westport, it's $305,000. And in Riverside, Connecticut, the average family earns a mere $290,000. Stamford, Torrington, New Canaan, Weston, Westport, Wilton, they're all rich here in South and West Connecticut and Fairfield and Litchfield counties. Many have yachts and private planes, and they golf a lot.
Did you know these counties are 85% white?
Okay, that's kind of awkward, Mappy. I mean, that's like saying white folks are richer than black or Hispanic folks. Is that true?
According to my data, 76% of millionaires are white.
Huh, I see that, Mappy. And look at that. The other three major races are all close to 8%. Why is that? Actually, don't answer that. I'll just Google it. This article in the Washington Post says white households are more likely to inherit money and own stocks and have pensions and own their own homes. The reason for that is something that would take a whole nother video to explain.
Number 10, what's your reason for breaking the hamburger habit at Arby's?
You're looking at it. A big roast beef platter with potatoes and coleslaw. Arby's is a big change of taste.
You know which part of the country probably doesn't eat at Arby's very often? North Central New Jersey doesn't, probably. And I don't blame them, because Arby's is absolutely nasty. Nor would you likely find a North Central New Jersey family eating...
You can show them you care, even when you're not there.
Ravioli! Thank goodness for Chef Boyardee.
Oh my God, that stuff was so damn good. I would eat that stuff all the time. I don't care how loaded I was. So there's a whole area here in North Central New Jersey, in Hunterdon, Morris, and Somerset counties, which are all in the top 12 for wealthiest counties in the country, which is a huge testament to the hard work that comes out of North Central New Jersey. And by wealthy, I mean every single household in each county makes about $100,000. Everyone. Here's an example of a home for sale in Hunterdon County, the richest of all Jersey counties. This Holland Township home is worth 5.9 million clams, and apparently the people are so loaded that they have a fancy car in many colors. Okay, so they have many more cars than just that. There's a fireplace for their car garage. How do you decide which one to drive? I don't get it. And then there's Short Hills, New Jersey, where a lot of households bring in about $350,000 every single year. And that, folks, would be enough to buy 397,727 cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli, yum, or 70,000 corned beef Reubens, which is absolutely disgusting to think about.
How rich can you get? You're never gonna know till you've met. This young boy, Richie Rich is his name. He's written up in the Rich Hall of Fame. His bank account is as rich as his name. That's rich, Richie Rich.
Richie Rich would certainly fit right in the New York City suburbs. Westchester County is the richest of all New York City suburbs, but there's a lot of other wealthy pockets here as well. Scarsdale, which is about 25 miles outside of New York City, sees average households bringing in $452,000. And that's the average every year. That's the second highest average salary in the nation, according to Bloomberg. The average home here goes for about $1.2 million. Here's one for $8.7 million in Scarsdale. Look at all the fancy homes in Scarsdale, man. Hey, this one's not that cool. $2.1 million for that? What the? It's not even that cool. The list of famous people from Scarsdale is long and impressive. Here and in the surrounding communities, 77% of people own a second home, 73% of households belong to a country club, 69% fly first class, more than half have a boat, nearly half have a nanny, 45% have a fancy car, and 41% have a wine cellar. And I'd be willing to bet all have maids. Now in nearby Bronxville, families bring in about $330K a year, and in Larchmont, it's a paltry $324K a year. Greenville and Rye, also in Westchester County, tap in at just under $300K a year each. Nearby Nassau County is no slouch either. What exactly do these people do to afford such luxuries? A lot of them are hedge fund managers, doctors, lawyers, and real estate agents. Kids, pay attention. Judge Judy's from this region. Did you know she made $147 million last year? $147 million, people. Just to tell former couples who gets custody of the cats. Okay, so here we are in our second wealthiest region of the country, the Washington, D.C. metro area, and specifically the Virginia suburbs of D.C. It's Loudoun County, Fairfax County, Arlington County, Prince William County, Stafford County, Falls Church, Great Falls, McLean. They're all at the top when it comes to average incomes across the board. But Virginia's kind of different. While some of the communities like McLean and Great Falls have households in the $300,000 annual income range, there aren't huge pockets of extreme wealth like we saw in New York or in our next wealthiest region, which we're going to get to in a minute. In Northern Virginia, it's the sheer number of fairly wealthy over a large area. A lot of the people up here work for the government or have government contracts, just like the wealthy folks up at Central Maryland do. And a lot of people here are political elites, like former vice presidents and secretaries of states. But Virginia's definitely the haves and have-nots. While there's a ton of wealth up here, most of the communities over here in Appalachialand are struggling to get by. And it's only a 4-hour drive away, too. Where's the wealthiest region in the country? The Bay Area is. If you look at the household income levels and the cost of homes, it's here where the richest people in our country live now. Home of the tech billionaires, the technology executives, famous actors and athletes. This is where people with the real money live. This is where the tech startups sell for $1 billion. It's here where Google lawyers and Facebook ad executives and user experience lead engineers live. People that run all the social media companies and all the search engines and all the hardware you spend all day on live here. And a lot of the people that live here not only have a lot of money, they have a lot of power, too. Now keep in mind that this is the most expensive place to live in the nation, too. So of course, income levels are going to keep up with the cost of living. But it's not uncommon for a married couple here to bring in $500,000 in combined income just working from home. The richest parts of the Bay Area are places like Santa Clara, San Mateo, and Marin counties. Atherton ranks as the richest city in the country, where the average income is $525,000 per household. The average value of an Atherton home costs a staggering $6.4 million. Look at this. 3 of the top 5 richest cities or towns in America are all right here in the Bay Area. So if you truly want to know where the rich and powerful live in this country, it isn't New York or Washington, D.C. anymore. It's San Francisco. So that's it. Where the most wealthy, well-heeled, prosperous, successful, and financially elite live in America. They're rich. Many have some power. I'm sure they have a lot of fun spending all their money. But you know what? They all loved Chef Boyardee out of the can growing up. No one is too good for that. I don't care what they say. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more. You can also now buy my songs on iTunes and other formats. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching. And remember, while we all might have different views, we should all be nice to each other and try to make the U.S. a better place in a positive way.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.